I recently had a case with a family that was not from America. They were from a foreign country, but the children were born here in America. And the father worked in the medical field and the mother was a stay-at-home mom. And when I tell you she was beyond sweet, she was. And the father couldn't have been more of a gentleman if you tried. And they raised their children exactly to mirror the parents. The mom was a love, so was the dad, so were their children. Incredibly polite. Now there was an allegation during a Zoom call where the child was in school that the child was hit by the mother. The mother didn't believe in corporal punishment or hitting in any way, shape, or form any of the children. And the father corroborated that. Never seen their mother ever hit anyone, let alone the children. And there was no criminal record, no DCF involvement. And there was no domestic violence. There was no calls by the police. Nothing. You add to that they were caretaking for the father's parent who had cancer, unfortunately. So this was a family that had a lot going on between Zoom calls and an elderly sick grandparent and dad working and mom trying to keep the fires burning at home. And the school filed a neglect allegation, a physical abuse allegation against the mother. And when all was said and done and the yarn that was spun was that a child was on a Zoom call and saw this child being hit by the mother, allegedly. And the teacher that filed the report had never met the parents of the children, was a substitute teacher. So you can see how that would turn into like a Keystone Cop episode, which it did. But DCF stuck in the middle. They got a report from an native reporter. They're more than likely going to investigate. So we met with the parents, spoke to everybody under the sun, and got all the documentation that the children were up to date medically. There was no marks or bruises on any of the kids. Immediately sent the child to the medical doctor due to the allegation of physical abuse, where the child was checked out and given a tip-top bill of health. We also got the school on board that had met this family so many times, and every single person at that school said, these are lovely children, and the parents are as lovely as the children, and vice versa. The investigator, much to his credit, looked at all the evidence, came over and spoke to each child individually, and we prepared the children. And the one thing Attorney Seaver told the children to say, tell the truth. So it was beautiful. The investigator says to the children, did you speak to Attorney Seaver? And the child lit up, absolutely. And he asked him, so what did Attorney Seaver tell you to say? And the child smiled from ear to ear like it swallowed a piece of corn sideways. He said, Attorney Seaver told me to tell the truth. And did Attorney Seaver tell you anything else? He says, yeah. What else did he tell you? He says, keep playing soccer, it's a great sport. Because this kid was big time into soccer. And all I told him was, don't be afraid, just tell your story, tell the truth. And when the investigator was done, he leaned back in his chair and started laughing. He found it pretty comical too. And he knew that these children were telling the truth. They had never been hit. They said their mom loves them, is courteous, kind, warm. And both children corroborated that story. And these children were in grammar school, but they were smart, really smart kids. It was abundantly evident that Ma worked with these kids every day because their grades were superlative. They were all E students. And the school said they never had a behavioral problem with these children. They came every day to school, they were well groomed, had a nice appearance, always had lunch, snacks. The mother and the father were incredibly receptive to everything and everything. They didn't have an IEP plan. Matter of fact, these kids were at the top of their class in every single subject because the mom worked with them every single day. She was an immigrant. And we're all immigrants in this country, aren't we? Of course we are, of some sort or another. But mom realized and valued education, much to her credit. And she worked with her children every single day on their math, on their reading, on their English, so forth and so on. And she held over their heads, which I loved. You don't do well in school, you don't play soccer. And these two kids love to play soccer. So Ma got it. She was a great mom. Now the investigator wanted to go over the house and see the children in person. And what we did, we made special accommodations to have them meet outside because of the elderly grandparent had a compromised situation with the cancer. And we didn't want any type of virus or any type of things from the outside to get in with the flu. So the investigator, much to his credit, understood that and didn't hold the parents or the children in a negative light. And when he met the children, which to me was the greatest asset the parents had, because they were sharp, as smart as all get out. This investigator got it. He says, there's nothing here. This never happened. These kids are terrific. And again, both children told him, Turner Seaver told us, tell the truth.